All right, I think we're gonna go ahead and get started. Are you good for that, Josh?
Yes, 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 yes. Let's
Awesome. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. Welcome, welcome. Before we get started, I'm going to put a really, it's virtual, right? So I'm going to put a disclaimer out there. I am in a school right now. I work for the Empowerment Zone. So I'm at Navarre Middle School today, and we are actually dismissing students. So you might hear a little bit of that in the background. So I just want to give that disclaimer really quickly. Um,
She at her house. That's not true. She's at her house.
I am at a school.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
So, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hello and welcome to the debut of YP2YP featuring Joshua Short from WNDU. We are super excited to have him at the event today, at this debut today. So, thank you all for being a part of the debut of YP2YP and thank you for being here. So, we're going to have a good time. We have some exciting questions to ask Joshua. So, we're really excited. My name is Deja Moore. I am a member of the YPN Advisory Council. I'm actually the Diversity and Inclusion Lead for the YPN Council. So I'm super excited to represent YPN as well and to have this conversation with Joshua. So first of all, I would like to thank YPN's program sponsors, Gibson and Indiana Michigan Power, for their support, which helps make all of these events possible, right? So thank you to those sponsors. And before we get started, we want to make sure that you all do know that we are going to open up the Q&A. So there will be a Q&A section. So please feel free to place the Q&A questions in the section, and we'll do our best to get everyone to answer your questions before the end. Also, we want to make sure that you mark your calendars to two important events. All right. So we have an event on April 29th and May 11th, as we will have an event exploring personality types and how they relate to career success. So we're really excited about that. And we are also going to have an executive conversation with Carol Owens, the Associate Head Women's Basketball Coach for the University of Notre Dame. And I will be hosting that executive conversation with Carol as well. So I'm super excited about that. So to learn more information about those events, you can check it out on ypnsouthbend.com and our social media platforms. All right, so now we got that out the way. Let's go ahead and get started. So I would personally and professionally and formally like to introduce you all to Joshua Short. Joshua, how are you doing today? It's so good to
Wow.
see you.
Personally, professionally, and formally, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm doing good. I'm doing okay, Deja. I'm doing better. I was talking to you off the camera about this. I just got my first and only shot, the Johnson & Johnson yesterday. So I got hit by a wall last night, and
Right.
all of a sudden, after about 8 hours, 12 hours, nothing. I feel nothing. Like I'm good. I'm good to go. So it was a interesting night, but I'm doing better. And there's a big burden off my shoulders now that I got that shot. So I'm doing good.
Yeah, I definitely saw that on your Facebook page. So I wanted to check in on you and ask that question, how you're doing, because I just got my shot recently as well, and I got the Pfizer. So I had it last Thursday. I'm perfectly fine, didn't feel any symptoms, but I did get some fatigue a little bit. So I was interested to hear about your experience. So thank you, as you always are, so open about your experience with everything you do. So I was interested to see how you were doing.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who they are a little bit cautious and I don't want to say fearful of, but they're just thinking twice. They're skeptical of the vaccine, particularly those people of color. But people in general, not just people of color either, but especially those who look like me. So I wanted to put it out there that hey, I got the shot and give them constant, consistent updates as to how I was feeling and what I was feeling. And I
Right.
think it's only beneficial to people who are just skeptical because I wanted to make sure that they were aware here's how I feel and it's okay. Like, we'll get through this together and this is how it was for me. And so I hope I inspired at least one person, maybe two, to get the shot, but I never want to tell people to do something that they don't feel comfortable in doing. I just wanted to show them that, hey, it's not 100% comfortable for me either, but I'd rather have that than COVID. so that's the hope. And that's what I did yesterday.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree 100%. Absolutely. All right. So we're going to dig in. I'm really excited about these questions, Josh. I know that you said you looked at them a little bit, but you like to go with the flow, right? So, and I'm sure you do. So I'm interested to hear all of your answers to these questions. So our first question is, give us an overview or an executive summary of Joshua Short and who he is, both personally and professionally.
Well, I'll start with both. Personally and professionally, I am who I am, unapologetically me. You know what I mean? I try my best to not step out of my body. I think sometimes people, when they're professional, they say, you know what, you have to be this type of person at the desk, or this person in your, wherever you work, let's say a newsroom, or let's say in your case, Deja, school. I try to be myself. And I understand that there is a thin line to that, because you got to be professional as well. You got to show that difference. But there's a way you can do it and be genuine and authentic. And I think that's what several people in this chat, I can see some of the participants and attendees, I know some of them, but they know me. And I'm the same person that you see professionally, and the same person that you'll see at Bar Louie, or some restaurant. Why did I have to say Bar Louie? I don't know. But anyways, you get the point.
Oh, I like Bar Louie.
It's
I'm
cool.
there
I like
night, actually.
really.
How much?
Throwing back drinks. So yeah, it was it was I think maybe 2 years ago when I finally realized that fully. And my mom's always told me that, but I never understood it. I thought that if you were to be yourself all the time, that could be a bad thing. And I realized in so many ways, and in different ways too, both professionally and personally, that being yourself and being genuinely you will get you much further in life than anything else that you attempt to do. It's always about being yourself and true to who you are. People see it right away. You can't fool anybody nowadays. The one thing I can say is, over the last 4 to 5 years, our world has changed so much geopolitically, and nobody's kind to each other nowadays. And so people they have more scrutiny, and they're smarter because they have that scrutiny, and that they're able to ask questions and see, you know what, I don't trust this, or I don't know if this may smell like macaroni and cheese, but is it mac and cheese? Everything is skeptical now. And so people have that filter. And for me, you can ask these questions and you will get the same answer. And that's how I've always been, professionally and personally. And I think it's been beneficial more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely, Josh. I love how you frame that, and I can attend to that too, because I'm really big on having that professional and then also that personal life, right? And one thing about me, I strive to be an artist. Like I love music, right? So one thing that I want to do is I've never apologized for being that professional, right? But then also having that hobby or having that dream per se that you still love to do and want to be, and mold both of them together, right? I truly believe that you can be yourself and professionally. So I definitely agree with everything you just shared. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that I love about, and I'm glad we're doing this conversation too, because especially for young professionals, you have to, when you're young, 21, 22, 26, 27, you're getting into the field that you are involved in, or you make a transition. And during that time, you're like, do I need to put on, for my boss or for my manager? Now, granted, you have to be professional in certain environments, right? You have to be, and I don't want to sit here and lie to the viewers, I don't want to sit here and but it's different for me because I have the luxury to be myself in both respects. Not a lot of people have that luxury, but I think managers and people in power are discovering that's the best way to go. If I can see Deja Moore is the same person as I'm having a drink with her, while she can also tame and show a different side of her professionally, but also have that piece that I met at Bar Louie having a drink or a bite to eat, I should be able to look at her the same way, whether it be inside of a working environment or inside of a social environment, and say, man, I trust her. She's genuine. She's authentic. She is who she says she is. That builds trust, and that makes everything, the line of communication, stronger. So as a young professional, I think we have that fear to be ourselves. And we try to step out of our body and emulate, if not imitate, something else. And that, I don't think that's a good thing in the long run, nor do I think it's beneficial or conducive to success for you personally.
Absolutely. And that's relationship, right? That's relationship. You have to have relationships professionally. So absolutely. So the next question for you, Josh, is what's the best part of your job and the worst part about your job, right? So we all know that you are the co-anchor for WNDU in the morning. Tell us a little bit about that and the best part of your job and the worst part.
Well, first off, I don't look at it as a job. I promise you. I know that sounds cliche. I don't. And if I did, I'd be miserable. And I'm not saying that to say that it's just in this role as an anchor. Anything that I do, I was a tour guide in Chicago in college, and I used to be on the double deckers, and I never looked at that as a job. I got a paycheck. Yes, it helped me pay bills, but I never looked at it as a 9 to 5 or a 10 to 6. I never look at it that way. I always look at whatever I'm doing as something that I love to do and I'm passionate about. So it's never a job. And I think that it's hard to say that when you are probably a cashier at Meijer and you're saying, you know what, I look at this as a job and this isn't what I want to do. That's the part, that's the time, that's the moment where you need to question your long-term outlook and say, you know what, I want to do something I'm passionate about. Because once you get up every day, it's easier to get up at 2:30 a.m. when you
Right.
realize it's not a job, that
Mhm.
I have to do it because I want to do it, because I like it. And that's
Right.
how it's always been for me. And so to start, that's the thing I hate about the job is waking up at 2:30. I hate having to, on Sunday night, I'm looking at my phone, I'm like, oh, I really gotta set these alarms. That's the one thing I hate. And you would never get used to it. You would never get used to it. But
Wow.
that's the one thing that I dislike about the job. But everything else that comes with it, I love. I get to talk to people every morning. I get to wake them up. I get to crack a joke. I get to look stupid, and poor viewers, they're so apologetic. They're like, it's okay. I get to do that. And at the end of the day, whether it's 9 o'clock or I have to do the noon show, so I'm done at 12 or whatever time, when I walk out of that station, it's, what did I accomplish today? I made somebody laugh. I informed somebody. I confirmed something for somebody, and I educated someone. And it's self-fulfilling when you realize that. You realize people who don't watch the news often are texting you, man, did you just say Snoop Dogg something, something? I didn't hear it. Well, yeah, I just did. Thanks for watching. You know what I mean? It's unique and self-fulfilling that way for me. And that goes with everything, not just being at the desk, because people think that, let's go into it. So 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago, May of 2017, graduated from Columbia College in Chicago and moved here. And I remember before I moved here, Deja, I was like, man, I'm going to be a reporter. This is what I dreamed of. This is what I want to do. This is what I went to school for. And coming here, I remember saying to myself, I stepped into that zone of, do I have to act like something that I'm not just to fit in? You walk into a newsroom where at the time there's only one other Black person in there. You
Right.
have to be something you're not. And
Right.
it's not just about color either. It's about personality. I walk in, good morning, and people, to this day, they still do that. Now, if they're watching, y'all know I'm not lying, because I would walk in, good morning, and the morning team is different. But when you go in after 9 o'clock, it's like people are working. People are working. But for me, I'm always the type that has this huge personality. So when I came here, I remember saying, I need to be who I am no matter what, and also tame it, right?
Right.
Make it unique and make it digestible
Mhm.
for the area that I'm in. So I don't want to come in at 10 all the time. Maybe come in at a 7 and say good morning to people and understand, like they say, read the room,
Right.
feel the pulse of the room, see what's going on before you walk in it, realize what you're walking into. Don't go in blindly. And so I made mistakes here and there when I first got here, and but I always stayed who I was. I never changed that. You can look at everything that's this. If I had to put a timeline of events, stories that I put together, and successes and failures, I've never changed. I've always maintained who I am, sometimes to my detriment, because I think some people aren't used to that. And when they're not used to it, they take offense to it. And when they take offense to you being who you are, you think, you second guess, you say, wait a minute, do I need to change?
Mhm.
And then you realize, you don't have to. It should be that way. And once people realize that you're not going to change, you're going to be who you are, so long as it's helpful to everyone else around you. Be that person. Now, if you are a person who is a jackass, you may want to think twice about being a jackass around other people. Be
Especially at
yourself.
work.
What'd you say?
So especially at work, people don't like jackasses at work.
No, no. So you may want to. I hope I can say jackass. Anyways, I said it.
I said
So
it too. It's fine. I said,
it's like, Deja, you understand what I mean? It's like you can be who you are, but if you know you are you may want to change that a little bit and adjust. Again, read the room. When I say be yourself, I mean that humbly. I mean, be respectful, have humility. I've had to learn that too. And I know sometimes people look at me and they're like, man, this arrogant 26-year-old is on TV and he can walk in my, I am who I am. And I'm not arrogant about it. I'm not overconfident about it. I am just regimented in who I am. Some of these folks I've gone out with and had a drink with or had dinner with, I'm a jokester. I'm a prankster. I love to laugh. I love to be the butt of the joke. All of my friends know that. So they always, I never walk into a place like I'm Josh Short. No, I don't. That's not who I am, because I would never be that. My mom told me that at a young age. So anyways, that's one thing I learned coming in 2017 is being myself, and it's reaped. I mean, I've reaped the benefits from that.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally echo everything that you just shared. You have to be yourself no matter what you do. And if you are in a job where you're not being yourself and they're prohibiting you from being yourself, then are you really truly in the role that you wanted, that you truly need to be in, right? And that's a personal decision that we all have to make. And we've all experienced that, right? So thank you, because we do have a lot of young professionals that join us and ask those type of questions, Josh. So it's really, really important that you shared that. So thank you so much. Love that. So the third question is, in your career, what's the dumbest thing you've ever done? I like these questions because they're kind of fun, like,
Yeah.
what's the dumbest thing you've ever done? What's the most
told? I feel told. I feel like when you ask that question, I've done so much dumb stuff. I feel like you just you to ask that question.
well,
I feel exposed.
well, that's the first half. The second half is, what's the most thrilling thing you've ever done in your career so far as well? And then I'll let you answer those two questions, and then I'll ask you the follow-up questions. So again, in your career, what's the dumbest thing you've ever done? What's the most thrilling thing you've ever done in your career so far?
It's hard to really itemize the dumb things because I've done so much of them. Again, that's the benefit of being a young professional. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fuck up, right? So I can mute myself sometimes. Anyways, so the dumbest thing I have done as a professional, and again, there have been many. The one that I can think about, because this was a lesson that I learned, and my executive producer said this to me, and I'll never forget it. He said, "Don't be the one." I didn't know what he meant at that moment, but I realized what he meant because I made mistakes thereafter and realized I'm the one and I need not to be that guy. So don't be the one in your work environment, in your professional environment. If you're going to be the one that people are inspired by or influenced by or look up to or learn from. But don't be the one that when you do something over and over, that it permeates and it becomes contagious and it infiltrates your professional environment, because people who may look up to you may say this is okay to make this mistake over and over. That's why when people say, "Man, you're my hero," I'm like, well, don't look at me as your hero, because you got to look at the mistakes I've made too, taking that into account. So look at me as a hero, but also look at me as a villain, because I've made those mistakes. And I think that's one thing I've learned. So the dumbest thing that I've ever done, I was assigned a story. It was I think it was a lunar eclipse. It was an eclipse. I can't remember. It was in July of 2017, 2 months in. At this point, people are getting to know, oh, this is Josh Short. I like this kid. And I'm like, all right, this is cool. So they send me to the beach. And I'm getting creative. I'm putting glasses over the lens of the camera, trying to show people what it looks like, what doctors say you shouldn't do. And I'm on. It's just great. The morning meeting, we have a morning meeting who usually consists of all the reporters, the boss, the managers, and the executive producer, and they tell us what we're going to do unless we have a good pitch. Then we sometimes have good pitches, and then sometimes they say, you got to do this. So I was assigned to go to the beach and do this story. And I'll never forget, I went to the beach, got everything. I was at Silver Beach. First time at Silver Beach, beautiful. I have a laptop. I'm editing in the field. For those of you who think that our business is glamorous, being in the field of communication, particularly TV, it's not glamorous. I just so happen to show you guys that it looks good. It's not. So we're our own photog. Usually we're sweating bullets leading up to the show. I got to put makeup on, because if I don't, I'm going to scare some people out the couch in the afternoon. So these are the things that you have to prepare for. And so I'm at Silver Beach and I am editing, and I'm looking at the clock. It's literally around this time, about 3:20, 3:25. And I get a call from my assignment editor, and they say, "Where are you?" And I say, "I'm at Silver Beach." Does it take that long to shoot VO? It's a term that they use in news, but just video, basically. I'm like, yeah, I'm putting the package together. All right, so who told you you're doing a package? Oh, I thought I was. You were in the morning meeting, right? Long story short, they told me that I needed to come back to the station and edit, because I was going to be fronting, as they say. So sometimes you watch the news and they say, Josh Short is here with the latest. Josh, what have you learned? And you're in the studio. That's fronting your package or fronting your story. So I was supposed to front it in the studio. I thought they told me that was my assignment they gave me, fronted in the studio. I don't know where I got this idea from that I was going live from Silver Beach. So I'm looking at the clock. It's around 3:30. It takes an hour to get back to the station. I'm not going to be able to edit and make the air in 30 minutes. So I'm talking to my DP like, what do you want me to do? And he lights me up. I mean, up. And he says, you were in the meeting, this and that, and da-da-da. And I learned in that moment a few things. One, don't be the one. That's when I first heard that from him. But two, always ask questions, even if they're stupid.
Yes.
I've asked Deja, you know this, you sometimes feel like you got to ask a question. It's like, is that stupid? Am I going to be judged?
Right.
You realize you can look at my resume. I ain't stupid. So I'm going to ask a dumb question because half the stuff that's on my resume has come from me doing stuff and being accomplishing in some of the things that I've asked dumb questions in.
Yep.
So that's the one thing I want people to know from that story is that dumbest thing I've ever done professionally, but still learned a lot. And I learned particularly don't be the one, but also ask questions even if they're stupid. Yeah. The second thing, and this is, go ahead, Deja.
I was gonna say that, man, I learned that, and I'm gonna date myself, I guess, but I learned that in college a couple of years ago because I just, man, like I really was that person to be scared to ask those questions, and I refused to be that person to not know what your role is, right? So I definitely love that you said ask stupid questions because, like you said, you know that you're intelligent. So if you have a question and you just need clarity and seek clarity, ask those questions. And we do that in the work here too. And that's one thing I love about the position that I'm in, because we always have like, okay, wait. So we talk about so much. Sometimes that thing goes away, right? So okay, wait, let's just slow ourselves down and let's regroup. So the next steps are this, that, and the third, right? Because that's clarity, and we all need that. So definitely love that. And that was a hilarious story.
And let me tell you, that was, I'll never forget that story. I cannot. It's the funniest thing ever. I would never look at a solar eclipse the same either. Second thing, you mentioned about the most thrilling moment in my career.
Yes.
I interviewed, I'm actually looking at the book. So I had an opportunity to interview Tom Brokaw. For those of you who don't know, he's a reporter for NBC News. He was a special correspondent eventually. That's him on the right. This is a book about Richard Nixon. And but I had an opportunity to talk to him in Iowa during the Mayor Pete campaign, and that was, I think, that entire experience was just thrilling. Every day, I didn't get more than an hour of sleep. That happened out of nowhere. That Tom Brokaw interview, I was called by the network. You don't expect to get a call from New York, so that was unique. You want to interview Tom? Tom who? Tom who? Tom what? So that was unique, and he's so funny because you watch him, you know Tom Brokaw. He's a credible, esteemed journalist, and I say that obviously. He's got his mistakes too. Every one of us are going to have mistakes, no matter what you do. Every one of them. Right. So that's why I don't judge based on mistakes. I only judge based on lessons learned. And sometimes making the same mistake twice is okay. People say, don't make the same mistake twice. Something I've learned in the last year during this pandemic. You can make mistakes several times because you may not get the lesson the first time. That is okay.
That's right. Oh, you're dropping knowledge in here.
Listen, let me tell you something, Deja. Okay. By the way, I'm wearing joggers. If y'all didn't know, this is. Oh,
you're dressed. You're just dressed. Yeah. I'm dressed. We're going off. I'm dressed. I got dressed for this. I got professional up top and at the bottom. I was excited about this.
I got chicken in the oven right now. I know it's burning. I've been smelling for 10 minutes. But anyways, that was the most thrilling moment for me, was that entire week of covering Mayor Pete. And I remember talking to Tom and asking him, like, how many, Iowa caucuses have you done? Well, I've done 45. And he just had this voice that I've always grew up watching. And he says at the end of the interview, so where's your family from? And I'm like, oh, Chicago. He's, I've been to Chicago several times. What part of the city? And I'm telling the part of the city, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. Then he says, so what station are you from? And I show him the mic flag, and it says WNDU and the peacock on there for NBC. And he says, oh, that's the University of Notre Dame. I used to visit there frequently. And I'm in awe that I'm talking to Tom Brokaw. And he ends the conversation, Deja, by saying, how old are you? And I told him at the time I was 25. He says, you'll do well. So that was thrilling for me. that was the most thrilling moment for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm going to do a quick shift really quick. We do have a Q&A, a question in our Q&A box, Josh. So I'm going to ask it. We have it from, well, I don't know if we mentioned the person's name, but I'll just mention the first name. Kayla is asking, have you ever had a challenge in staying impartial / reliable while reporting stories that hit close to home?
Mm,
It's a great question.
every day. It is a challenge every single day. You are one of two Black reporters in this market. I'll say that again. You are one of two Black reporters in this market.
Yeah.
Automatically, you have pressure on your shoulders. And I know that if I say this in my newsroom, people are going to be like, no, you give yourself that unnecessary pressure. No, y'all don't hear what I hear. People expect different from you because for so long, there's been a community here that's been unheard.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that because I'm Black that I can only be the one to tell a Black story or a story that's regarding the Black community or people of color. That is not what I'm saying. In fact, I'm glad to work where I am because we do a really great job, all of our reporters and anchors, of telling stories in different of color, in race. So
Yeah.
that I want to just put that out there. I'm not tapped to be the, tokenism doesn't exist at my station. I'm not that guy that does the Black story. But because of who I am and because of the people that I know and because of the community that I go out in every day, it's not just me reporting on the south side of South Bend. I know half the time when we have breaking news, you can ask producers. I know where the shooting took place and I can tell you what's near there because I'm out there. When I first got here 2 years ago or 4 years ago, I didn't think that was going to be the case. I didn't know, where the West Side was and I would ask Terry and Maureen. I remember I was at a store and I said, what side of town am I on? Because I want to tag out by saying, reporting from the blah, blah, blah side, Josh Short, 16 News Now. And she's like, I don't know. I said, Mo, y'all from here. So I had to learn the sides of town and get acclimated with my environment. But all that to say, it's challenging. Particularly, I can tell you a story because that's what I do, right? I guess I tell stories. But the story where I really faced this was during the height of the pandemic / epidemic, late last summer. That George Floyd incident that we are very familiar with.
Right.
And it was a national story, it was a regional story, but it was a local story too.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to myself, I got it. People are going to be looking at me, and they were, about how is Josh going to report on this? And I remember saying, I don't want to be partial in my reporting.
Right.
I've been Black a long time, Deja. So I kind of know what's happening. And there's a perspective that others won't be able to understand unless somebody who lives it tells it.
Absolutely.
So that was the toughest thing. And it was a challenge, but I remember saying to my boss, and I feel like I could say this, and she'll admit to it. I brought up this idea. I said, you know what? I want to do a round table. She said, what? It's a pandemic. Good luck. I said, well, and I'm paraphrasing, but that's how she said it. And I said, I think I can do this. I think I can get some people together. I already have a couple people. I want to do the story. And she says to me, well, we're in a pandemic, so you maybe want to do a Zoom or something. I'm like, no. I want people. I want people to confront this. I want people there in person. So I called a couple people. I told Trisha to help, and we ended up getting people. Now, granted, this is what you got to do as a young professional. Write this down, y'all. Sometimes you got to ask for forgiveness as opposed to permission.
Yeah.
So in this case, I went up to my GM's office and I said to him, I want to do this story. And I don't know if I have the full support of the newsroom, but I want to at least tell you just to see if this is a good idea. And he said, what's the story? I said, I want to do a panel. I want to do a discussion on race. And I don't want to ask but 8 questions. And that's it. And I want it to be an hour and I want it to air in prime time because nobody's ever done that. All right, let's do it. Okay, don't tell my boss I talked to you. So let me talk to her first. So I went back down and I said, hey, I want to do this, da-da-da-da. She says, all right, we'll Zoom, da-da-da. This. And she endorsed the idea, but it wasn't 100% the idea that I wanted. So I said, you know what? I'm doing this. And I talked to my assignment editor, had his blessings, talked to my EP, had his blessing. And we scheduled it. Monday was Tuesday was the interview. Thursday it aired. I've never spent a day, 22 hours at the station editing and putting together an hour-long special.
Wow.
Of just dignitaries in our area Coach Muffet McGraw was a part of it, Mayor of Elkhart, Rod Robertson, Chief of Police, Chief Ruskowski, and a whole bunch of others played a role in this. We had people of color, we had young people there, we had people representing Black Lives Matter.
Mhm.
And that was the most challenging and the most, I think it was extremely fulfilling. I use that word, but it was. After it was done, Trisha Sloman called me right after, and she was like, I was in tears. You know,
Wow.
I've learned so much. And a lot of people, a lot of our viewers sent messages. We've never
Yeah.
gotten messages like that before for a story that aired at 7 o'clock. We've never done anything like that
Right.
I can remember, at least the 4 years I've been here. So that was the most challenging thing that I've ever had to be a part of, but it was extremely.
Wow, I love that. And I'm actually kind of jealous because I don't remember seeing that story. So I would love you to share that with me because I would love to watch it, Josh. And you know, this actually leads into our next question that we want to ask. And it's, you know, being a news anchor in this country, in Indiana and in South Bend, as you just shared, and a person of color. Have you faced any challenges in your career because of this? And you touched on that a little bit with an experience, but is there anything else you want to share in regards of being a person of color in your field? And then also, if you have experienced any challenges, how did you overcome them?
You always overcome the challenges of race and color when you realize that you can't change who you are.
Amen.
Once you realize that,
Yep.
everything else becomes easier. I'm not going to say easy, but easier.
Mhm.
I am who I am. I can't change that. So you got to adjust.
Right.
And because of that, I think on my shoulders because I realized I am who I am. And I will never forget during the time of the riots and what have you, I put out a lot of Black Lives Matter related posts. And I would just say this because I know that there are people watching who may feel indifferent about it. I totally understand that. And trust me, that's another thing about me. I can sit next to a Republican and I can sit next to a Democrat. You won't tell what I am or who I am. Even if I posted something that may appear political, and I can't do that because obviously I'm an anchor, so I have to be impartial and objective. But when it came to Black Lives Matter, that was no longer a political issue. That was a human rights issue for me.
Right.
That
Right.
was that identified with me.
Mhm.
People who it didn't identify with had trouble understanding that. And so when I would go live from these many protests, all of which peaceful, by the way, in South Bend,
Right.
I remember seeing some of the comments, and they were extremely, I mean, it's sickening. Some of them inspirational, some of them supportive, many of them sickening. And I'll never forget looking at that and saying to myself, man, I never realized that pigmentation could lead people to be so mad.
Right.
And for me personally, I can tell you without hesitation, I don't regret anything from my reporting last summer. I remember being on air saying something and caught people off guard about it. And even Trisha looked at me and she was like, wow, he just said that. That was extremely powerful. I didn't plan to say it. And then my producers yelled at me afterwards, you talked for 30 seconds longer. Now I gotta float stories. So at the time, it was not the ideal for me to say what I said, but in terms of the message, everyone understood. And those who didn't have to get to understand. They have to have a reckoning themselves.
Right.
But I know that there are so many, and Deja, you know this. I mean, there are things that when it comes to Black Lives Matter, particularly, there is this weird, there's a weird mark that is levied against Black Lives Matter because sometimes local chapters, depending on the local chapter,
Right.
are deeply rooted in controversy or what have you, whether that's in California or a city in Colorado.
Mhm.
You just have to, and people attach that to the overall meaning.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. You're
Mhm.
missing that
Right.
the movement is a movement. The
Mhm.
movement itself is a movement.
Mhm.
You know, you can't change the movement. The movement itself has
Right.
to do with people who look like me, who want to feel like they belong. And I said, Black Lives Matter doesn't mean, it doesn't mean anything more than just see us,
Right.
see me,
Literally. Yes.
I embrace me. Don't
Right.
say to me, man, I don't see color. You damn lie. I know you see when you go through traffic lights. I know you see color. I know it. See me. I want you to acknowledge, you know what? We are different color. We are different pigmentation. You're black and I'm white. And I respect it. I see you. That's
Mhm.
what we want to hear.
Right.
Don't tell me I don't see color. I don't want to eat dinner with you no more. You see, now because you don't see me.
Right.
So that was extreme. And here's the thing: been Black a long time. I learned a lot last year too. I
Absolutely.
learned a lot about my people, my culture, and my ethnicity, and my
Yeah.
color, and the stigma that is attached to that, and everything that comes with it. And I still feel like that is something that is automatically levied against me as a reporter, but just as a person, a successful person in this business. I talked to somebody yesterday. Great interview. I talked to him. He says, "Man, you are. I mean, you are just eloquent, and you just speak so well." And I said, "Man," I said, "You ever told Mike Hoffman that? You ever told Trisha Sloman that they speak well?" And I said,
Right.
What does that mean when people say that?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was unique for me, Deja. So
Yeah, wow. Everything you said is so powerful for sure. Can really, really relate to all of that. Really, really relate to all of that. And man, time is going by so quickly. It's like, oh, we have so many questions left, but this is such a good conversation. That's the good thing about it.
yeah.
Um, so one thing that I want to shift to, we have an anonymous question here in the Q&A that I'm going to shift
Kitty
to.
cat.
Not at all. Not
I'm
at
just
all.
kidding.
You stop. Okay. Long-term career goals. What are your long-term career goals? And I want to say that I'm going, when we are in the virtual world, and I'm going to shift because that's what we're doing. And I'm going to make sure that I transition right next door to a quieter area because I hear some background. So as I'm doing that, Josh, please share, what are your long-term career goals?
Okay. Okay. Long term. Great question, by the way. Seriously, I there are certain questions that are really tough to answer, and I think this is one of them. I don't know, and it's okay not to know. All the young professionals out there watching, um, it's okay not to know specifically what you want to do. I want to be happy. I want to continue to inform people. I want to make people laugh. Now, if that means I'm still in an anchor chair in 40 years from now, okay, great. If that means I'm a host of a show, okay, great. But sometimes we get so caught up in having to create a structure. And I think, especially as young professionals, we put furniture in a building that's yet to be constructed. So it's like, it's okay not to know long term what you want to do. It's fantastic if you know what you want to do. It is not a crime if you know you want to be a stripper. Okay, like if you want to be a stripper, you want to be a stripper. You know it. You are regimented in that. You do everything you can to be the best star stripper you can be. But if you don't know, you don't know, and there is nothing wrong with that. And in my case, I have an idea, but I wanted to be involving people. During last year, Deja was one of the worst years for me personally because I it was I was not around people,
Mhm.
and that was painful.
Yeah.
So that gave me perspective and appreciation for the times pre-COVID, and now as we turn this corner and see this light at the end of the tunnel, which is hopefully not another train. I hope that it is something that we've all learned, that despite the politics and despite how we feel in our opinions and our color and our pigmentation, what we believe, we all need to embrace one another and learn from each other. That was
Yeah.
the toughest thing for me. And I think long term, I want to continue to do that. I want to learn, and I want to learn from other people, and I want to get to know people, and I want to make people laugh and continue to educate and inform in some way, whether that's on TV, radio. But I wanted to be in one of those. I wanted to be, online. Everything's shifting now to online and Facebook and Twitter. So I'm doing a lot of stuff online now at the job and doing Facebook Lives out the yin yang. But yeah, it just, uh,
You're live this morning, right?
yeah, I was out this morning from my house. I don't know. See, sometimes I do things because I just take initiative, and then sometimes I do things because I'm bored. And in this case today, I felt like I needed to do it because so many people were curious about the shot and what have you, and
Right.
and I felt like I had to do that live. But anyways, I feel like it's okay not to know what you want to do, and I'm in a weird position of not knowing specifically what it is,
Mhm.
but I want to be in the environment of teaching and understanding other people and making people laugh and informing people. So however I can make all of those things coexist and work together, that's what I want to do.
Awesome. That's awesome. Um, the next interesting question here is, as a fellow YP, if you had some advice to offer to other YPs, we have a good group of YPs tuning in. Again, thank you all for tuning in today. What advice would you have for them, how they can get better engaged in the community? And what would you say to them in terms of different ways that they can be engaged in their communities?
That is a great question, Deja. For me personally, just going out in the community, 4 years ago, I never thought that when I got here that I would know the people that I've gotten to know. And as a journalist, you have to be in the community, right? Like I feel like you can't be a credible journalist without being involved in the community in some way. That's why Mark Peterson's so good, because he knows so many people, and a lot of people respect him because he's credible. So you have to build that credibility by being in the community that you report. You can't just talk about a restaurant you never ate at.
Very true.
It makes no sense. So that's why I'm always involved in the community. I'm always out at an event at let's say at Howard Park, or if I'm at an event in Mishawaka or something like that. Not because I want to be seen. Trust me, I don't care. You don't have to see me around the camera. I just want to be out there and involved, because I feel like that helps me. That helps my reporting. And then through that, that's how I've gotten to become more accepted and ingratiated in my community, based on just being out there. And that's the only answer that I have, is go out there. Don't let the idea of being unfamiliar with your surroundings scare you. I know there's trepidation with that, but don't let that be the determining factor of whether or not you learn about your community. Go out there. If you hear about Frankie's barbecue, everybody's talking about Frankie's, let me go on the west side. Go on the west side. You ain't gonna get shot. You ain't gonna get shot. Go to the west side and get some Frankie's barbecue. Now, if you are at home and you hear, there's this park, and there's this state-of-the-art park, and it's near downtown South Bend. Go out there. Go out there, drive out there. And while you're out there, you may end up seeing this awesome restaurant across the street that's really good. And you go there and you meet an owner. And then now you've met this owner, you become friends with him or her. You never know how that will impact. That's how you get involved, is just by going out there. But that's the stigma, is that there's this idea of being cautious or having this fear because you're unfamiliar with the area, or you don't feel that going out there is going to do anything. Somebody asked me, Josh, how do you, I'm telling some history. So somebody said to me, how did you find a girlfriend here? Like, how's that possible? Like, how did you do that? Like, you're here for 2 years. Nobody comes in news and goes to a small market. I'm from Chicago, so nobody comes to South Bend and ends up dating somebody. It just happens because you meet people.
Right.
You just go out and you meet people, and that's how it happens. Let the record show I'm single now, so maybe I need to go out a little bit more. But anyways, Deja, I hope that answers the question for all the people watching. It's a great question too.
I think you did answer the question. And, going back to what you were saying about just going out there, that's one thing that organizations look for too. When they interview you, what are the networks that you have? What are the connections that you have? So you have to have that. That's a professional asset that you can bring to the table as well. So that's one thing for YPs to keep in mind as well.
Always network, man. Always network. Always shake hands. I met a few people in here who do that really well. I try my best to meet folks, whether it's a restaurant owner or coaches at Notre Dame. I try my best to get to know people, not because I want something from them, but in a way I do, and that's to learn from them. And to have that person that's able to say, hey, I got a story for you that I don't think people are talking about. If I can get that, and that's how I'm able to break stories all the time, because sources tell me things that I've just so happened to know, because I went out there and I took that risk, and it's the greatest plunge that I've ever taken here.
211.
Yeah, absolutely.
You may exit the building.
Is it a fire drill, Deja? What's going on?
No, see, you didn't believe me. I told you I was in the school. You did not believe me.
Okay. All right. Who'd you pay off to say that? You paid off somebody.
No, it's dismissal right now, and the last couple of buses are going through.
Oh, yeah. buses.
Joshua does not believe that I'm in the school right now. Shout out to the South Bend Empowerment Zone. I am in the school, and he just witnessed that I am in the school because he heard the intercom. So
Yeah.
anyway, I love everything you shared about that. So absolutely. So we're going to go into a couple of our fun questions now. We have a few minutes left, so we're going to go hit some fun questions. And actually, you mentioned one thing. You mentioned the Notre Dame. You mentioned Notre Dame and Notre Dame basketball. I would like to shout out Carol Owens, who is in the group with us right now.
Yo, Coach Carol.
Oh, yes, I call her CO too. I'm so glad you call her CO because I call her CO as well. For everyone that does not know, we will be having an executive conversation with Carol Owens, who is the assistant head basketball coach for the women's Notre Dame University of Notre Dame. And that will be May 11th.
Yeah. Let me just say this while that intercom is going off, Deja. I don't call her CO in person because she got some height on me and I don't want to get beat up. So I do call her coach. But outside of that, when she's not hearing me or watching, I say CO because I just love her. She's
I call her both, but yes. So hello to you, Carol. Thank you so much for joining. And we're excited to have an executive conversation with you May 11th. So please register for that event. YP,
Yeah,
if you have not, that's going to be a great one as well. All right. So we're going to get to some fun questions here. But now that you've been in South Bend for a few years, Josh, what are some of the region's hidden gems in your mind?
easily New Buffalo. New Buffalo, Michigan, man. New Buffalo is beautiful.
It is.
I love New Buffalo in the summertime, especially. I would say New Buffalo. And then I would get in trouble if I say the particular lake, but it is in Michigan. And there's a beautiful area not too far away in Michigan that I love to visit as well, that I frequent. So those are the two places.
Nice, nice. Okay, we're going to go back into like your reporting a little bit, your dreams with reporting. Who would you love to interview locally? We're going to see if we can make it happen right here in YP. And then who would you love to interview nationally as well? Uh-oh, he's thinking about this one.
I would say there's a list that I have. Vivica A. Fox, she's running from me, but I still want to talk to her. She's a local.
She's from here?
Vivica is from here.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yes. I know her family. Her family, very close to her family, but yes, she's from here.
Everybody knows her family, but don't want to give me the hookup. See, this is the problem I have. Everybody knows. I know her daughter.
Yes, went to school with a lot of her family members. Absolutely. Yes.
I would say,
that's a good one. Keep going.
I would say Vivica A. Fox. I would say Secretary Pete. They running from me too. I'm gonna send an email every day until I talk to them. I would say Secretary Pete. And Rick, I would say, and this is going to be weird, but two other people that I would love to talk to, and that is, and I can't remember her name right now, forgive me. I think it's the shot that is wearing off, but I'll start with Ryan O'Neill, that officer who was involved in that shooting. I'd love to hear, because obviously he was involved in so much after that. We found out so much about his story. Yeah. I want to get his side of the story. We've heard so much about police shootings and officer-involved shootings, and obviously it was put into the national framework because of Mayor Pete at the time was running for president. And so I want to talk to him.
Yeah.
And so I am trying so hard to see if that's a possibility. And then speaking of police, obviously I know the police tape saga. That has been, since I've been here and before, it's been one of the things that I've always felt like, I gotta be careful how I say this. There can be more done, but sometimes there are things that are done the right way, and then sometimes you got to circumvent the system without doing anything illegal. I want to figure out. That's a story. I guess that's a story that I want to tell differently, because right now we just heard their tapes. It's illegal. It's illegal. No, you can't hear them. You can't hear them. Okay, there are other things that we do know about this story, and we need to follow on that. And I've gotten pushback on it, not necessarily from my station, but professionals. And I think that that's the one thing that I wish I could do a little bit more of, whether it's that or talking to the woman who was, I believe, the dispatch director at the time or what have you. So anyways, that's the interview I would want to do too.
Awesome. Those are all amazing options. I love that. Okay, we got a couple of quick fire questions for you.
Let's do it.
Okay. You don't have to answer them quick. It's not like a quick thing, just, nice quick questions. What is your favorite area restaurant?
You know the answer to this. You actually know the answer to this.
Oh, I do. You're right.
Bantam chicken and food, I'm there every week, once a week at least. Bantam chicken and seafood. If y'all don't know about Bantam chicken and seafood, Chef Dante and those guys up there, man.
They're missing out. They're missing
Listen, I've seen Deja throwing back a couple drinks. Me too. We was.
Let's say, because you definitely were there. Yes, Bantam.
Always. Yep. Me and a friend of mine.
Restaurant. Yes, in the city. Chef Dante Shaw is an extravagant chef here in the city. Very, very, very talented. So his food is delicious for sure. So if you have not been there yet, please go. You will enjoy your experience there. I do see Josh there once a week because I'm there about 2 or 3 times a week. I'm not even going like I'm not there. I'm there a lot.
It's on State Road 23. Now it's right by campus. Bantam chicken and seafood. If y'all go there, say my name, you get a 20% off coupon code. No, I'm just kidding. But go there. It's really good.
You better not do that. You're gonna have half of South Bend in there.
Chef down there. What?
No. I did not promise that. Didn't hear from me. I didn't say that, Dante. He said that. I did not say that. Yeah, it's an amazing restaurant. Definitely my favorite in South Bend as well. And new. So opened up in the middle of the pandemic, which is also very impressive. So yeah.
And Black owned.
And Black owned, yes, which is to me the most important thing. Absolutely, Black owned. And name 2 hobbies that you enjoy.
Reading and writing. I don't read I can't sit and read through an entire book. So but I consider it a hobby because I do it every day and I love it and I write every day. And so reading and writing for sure. Those 2 things are my hobbies.
Awesome. Mountains or ocean? Which one?
It's a great question. I was born in Hampton, Virginia, moved to Chicago when I was 4. So I barely remember mountains up there in the east side, the East Coast, and particularly DMV area. But it's interesting because, and I'm telling myself, I don't swim. I don't know how to swim. I'm about 5'11" and 3/4. On Tinder, I put 6 feet, but I am about 5'11" and 3/4. And people would be shocked by that because they think he's got long arms and long legs. He's a swimmer. And no. I had a bad experience as a child. I've been scared ever since, but I will tell you that I'm going to attempt to learn how to swim this summer, and it may or may not be on TV. So there's that.
Well, good luck with that. Good luck with that. You'll get it. It's not that.
But all that to say, oceans, because I love water. I love being around water. I have a weird relationship with it. It's strange.
Awesome. Yeah, ocean's nice. Best vacation spot, and this could be something a place that you've been or a place that you want to go to.
I've been to, so one of the ways I got involved in the business was when I was in high school. And I remember going on a trip because I studied Arabic in high school, by the way, for 4 years.
Wow, so cool.
Yeah, like they didn't have.
Fun fact, everyone, Joshua Short can speak Arabic. That's awesome.
Yes, it is. It is the interesting thing about me. People don't know. I forgot a lot of it, but there's some times where there's a name and I'll say the name as if I'm from Egypt, and people look at me at the station like, what the heck did he just say? So like that will happen. But anyways, through that experience, I had an opportunity to go with about 20 other people, students, to Doha, Qatar. And that was the trip that thrust me into wanting to become a storyteller. And it was seeing people in, this garb, and seeing people in the hijab, and seeing people in the burqas, and being in this area, the Middle East. And my mom telling me, you may need to wear a vest when you go over there, and everybody's saying, be careful and pray because you're going to a frenetic part of the world. Mm-hmm. It was the best experience. Doha, Qatar at the time was going to be the host of the World Cup. And so that's the brand new city that nobody talks about that's being built up right now, is Doha. And it just found some money in the 90s because of oil. And so they've been building up ever since. And long story short, that's where I would want to go, because that's where I found what I wanted to do. And seeing people who I saw all the time on the news, and they were talked about and ostracized in a way. And I think they were part of these misconceived and preconceived notions about Arab people and those who are Muslim. Then you realize when you went over there, oh no, they're just like me. When I got the question of, do you know Kanye West? Because I'm from Chicago. That's how I knew I love this place, that we're all interconnected, and I love this place. So I would want to go back to Doha.
That's awesome. I've never heard of that place. I'm definitely gonna look it up and research that a little bit.
It's beautiful. It's hot, but it's gorgeous.
Is it? Okay, okay. Who is a person that you look up to?
I would say my mom. My mom has done so much for, I have a twin, fun fact. So there's two of us. And then I have also my older sister who's 14 years older. So my mom took a long break. But she had us three and she did it all by herself. And we all came out okay. My sister's a teacher. My brother is this up and coming photog down near Richmond, Indiana. So about an hour east of Indy. He has done so much down there in the last 2 years, during the pandemic particularly. So, I mean, my mom has done so much to put within our minds to do what you want to do and never shy away from it and have conviction in what you do, but make sure that it's helping other people or doing something that makes other people better. And she's done that at a young age. And the things that I look back on, I'm like, man, she did all of that. I'm lazy sometimes to fix. I got chicken in the oven that's probably burned right now, thanks to Deja. But I don't even want to cook for myself sometimes. And I think about how my mom would do it every day after coming from work.
Man.
And working the graveyard shift sometimes. So anyways, I look up to her and I would say without her, I wouldn't be here.
Oh, that's so awesome. That's beautiful. Absolutely love it. And great way to wrap up this amazing session. Shout out to the great moms out there for sure.
We gotta end. Oh.
And I know it's been so great and it went by so fast, but we actually got through all of our questions, which is pretty exciting. So thank you so much. So thank you all for joining us today, and thank you, Josh, for taking the time to chat with us. We truly appreciate it. I'd like to again thank Gibson and the Indiana Michigan Power again for their continued support, as well as all of you YPs that joined us today. This would not be possible without you. So thank you so much. And Josh was about to cry, so that's awesome. I look forward to seeing all of you at more of our YPN events. Again, please go to ypnsouthbend.com to see more of our events. Again, thank you, Kara Owens, for viewing this event today. We'll see you at May 11th. And there's my bills. So everyone's here.
I thank you guys, and I didn't realize that I&M and those folks were also part of this and sponsored this. So now I feel bad for saying jackass and stripper. So there's that. So I won't be invited back. I won't.
Oh, it's all right. I'll take the blame. It's totally fine. Thank you. So thank you all for joining us, and we really appreciate you. Thank you, Josh, so much. You all have a good day. Thank you, and stay safe. And please get your shot.
Get the shot. Get the shot. I got my pen somewhere. Get the shot. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.